Let me start by wishing a very good afternoon to the entire galaxy of intellectuals from around the globe who have gathered online in spite of their busy schedules to attend the National Conference on Diagnostic Week 2020. It is my immense pleasure to introduce Dr. Neeraj Jain, who is the organizing chairman of this national conference. Sir has actually completed his MBBS and MD from University College of Medical Sciences, Delhi University, way back in 1987, and is currently working as a senior pathologist running his own NABL accredited lab. He is a founder, president, and course director of MALAB, which is Medical Education and Learning Point, which aims to enhance the quality in the healthcare sector by training personnel working in laboratory medicine. He's a brilliant doctor and a dedicated teacher, especially in the field of laboratory medicine, and is trained in Six Sigma Green Belt. And that itself shows his immense capacity to confidently discuss complex subjects, especially those related to laboratory medicine. Today, Sir will actually be sharing with us his expertise views on emerging trends in selection criteria of entry-level automation. Over to you, Sir. Dr. Neeraj.
Thank you, Dr. Bindu, for your kind words. Now, today we will discuss emerging trends in the selection criteria of entry-level automation. But before starting this presentation, I would like to tell you, or in fact, you can say warn you, if your pre-examination, post-examination processes are not well controlled and you bring in automation, what all you get is automated mess. So it is very important to control these aspects because 80 to 85% errors occur during this phase only, pre-examination and post-examination. And if we see our laboratory, how we have moved from, you can say, colorimeter to semi-automated analyzer, and from semi-automated analyzer to fully automated analyzer. And in fully automated analyzer, we get these batch analyzers or random access analyzers. And if you see worldwide, more than 300 models are available, which are providing us various features. And India also, more than 100 models are available. And in this scientific session, we have discussed biochemistry, we have discussed this immunoserology, and we have discussed genetics also, what are the various tests available. And if we are moving towards automation, so our turnaround time decreases. Actually, it helps us, but we have to see what are the things we have to keep in mind when we are selecting an analyzer. So in this, we will see what experts say and what our experience supports, because we are also working in the laboratory, we also have experience. When you are selecting a laboratory, whosoever is contacting you to supply that machine, we have to see. First, we are discussing with the vendor. Okay, your machine is okay, but first tell us, this is the space which we have, because you cannot change the space. It is not easy. This is the space. Whether we will be able to fit your equipment in this space or not, and what kind of service they will provide us. Suppose you are in 100 kilometers from Trivandrum. So you are selecting equipment in Trivandrum or 100 kilometers from Trivandrum. This also you have to see whether you will get services there or not. Extent of technical training required, whether your person will be able to assimilate that training or not. Instruction manual, clarity, usefulness, whether it is providing you all information or not. Also see safety requirement. If, as Dr. Lamba was saying, different biochemistries, in this you will get values up to this level, in this you will get value up to this level. How much linearity that machine is providing. Suppose it is urea. Linearity means maximum value which you can report without dilution. Then about the machine, precision of various parameters which you will be performing on that machine. Precision means how close results are to each other when you are performing test multiple times. Generally, we use standard deviation or coefficient of variation for this statistics formula. Carryover, a low value is not affected by previously run high value sample. You are comparing result with the established method. And when you're participating in ICQAS, what is the performance of that equipment in the ICQAS? Now a question which many people faces, whether we should go for open reagents or we should go for system pack. And generally the thought which come in our mind, if we will go for system pack, then these company people, they can increase the charges anytime, then we will be in a fix. And if we will use this open system, there is no dependency, we will get lower cost per test. But simultaneously, we have to see with this system pack, our quality is better, whether it is closed system or semi-closed system. And therefore, many laboratories are there at present, they are using system pack. What is the problem? If we are not using system pack, we have to program our machine every time whenever we are changing a distributor company. Then there may be some error in the programming. We are reusing bottle, we are pouring reagent, there may be some difference in the reagent which may affect quality of our reagent, or some incorrect labeling, or there may be deterioration of the reagent. So ultimately, we are getting bad result. Bad result means which is not correlating clinically. And since morning, and you can say since yesterday, we are discussing all these aspects. What is the role of a correct result in our diagnosis and in our treatment? If suppose a wrong result is released from our laboratory, so we also doesn't like that. Clinically, clinician will not accept. Commercially, if you see, we will lose reputation in the market, we will lose patients, and same test we have to perform again, our actually cost is increasing. And if you see right now, these days, so many laboratories are going for accreditation. If we are going for automation, our accreditation process is also simplified, because there is data maintenance on the machine related to IQC. Your machine is plotting Levy and Jennings chart for you. Calibration is with calibrator that is more stable, because these calibrators, they have metrological traceability. And then another thing is whether we should use disposable cuvettes or reusable cuvettes. If we are using reusable cuvettes, economically they are good, but then we have to see these are washed properly, there may be some problem. So and if suppose we are using disposable, so we can take care of this carryover or water consumption problem, because if machine is washing those cuvettes on board only, it will increase the cost. Whether we should go for onboard cooling, or after performing test, we will keep our reagents in the refrigerator. Traditional approaches, we will not have onboard cooling, but this onboard cooling, it has a lot of advantages, because it increases stability of your reagent. Your calibration is more stable, because if you are putting these reagents back in the refrigerator, then you are bringing that, if suppose you have to perform another cycle, so it is affecting your lab workflow, and ultimately turnaround time is increasing. Then also we have to see cost of machine. When you are going for cost of machine, also see how much is the cost of AMC and cost of CMC. That is, and suppose some parts need to be changed, not in case of defect, but otherwise also, how much they will cost you, and what is the approximate total life of the machine. Suppose a machine is of 3 lakh rupees and the life is only 3 years, and another machine is of 6 lakhs rupees, but the life is 10 years. So definitely, second option is better. And when you're looking for cost of reagent, sometimes people say cost per test, they calculate cost by per ml of reagent. But in this, you see how many tests you can perform in a particular kit. Because if suppose machine is taking some washing cycle and some other wastage of reagent for certain other aspects, then ultimately all those things are increasing your cost per test. We have to see all these things when we are negotiating cost of the reagent. My view is you go for cost per test rather than cost per ml. Now, when you're evaluating machine, look for analytical sensitivity. Analytical sensitivity means it is different from your diagnostic sensitivity. In the morning, we were discussing something related to diagnostic sensitivity. In suppose 100 cases of a particular disease, in how many cases the test will come positive. Analytical specificity means what is the minimum difference a machine is able to appreciate. Suppose there are 3 machines testing glucose. One machine 100, 110, 120, 130. Second machine 101, 102, 103, 104. Third machine 100.1, 100.2, 100.3, 100.4. In first case, minimum difference appreciable is 10. In second case, it is 1. And in third case, it is 0.1. So analytical sensitivity is best in case of third machine. But we have to see practicality also, whether it is really useful for us or not. But we should know all these things when we are evaluating machine. Analytical specificity means it is estimating that particular analyte only, nothing else in addition to this. Like if suppose you are planning to buy one hematology analyzer, 3-part differential count. These machines, they calculate nucleated RBCs also with the WBCs, because they are calculating on the basis of nucleated cells. If these nucleated RBCs are not present or these are in insignificant amount, then your TLC is not affected by that. But in case of hemolytic anemia or leukoerythroblastic reaction, your TLC may be significantly affected by that. So that way you have to see for different analytes what is the specificity of that particular reagent system and machine for the estimation of a particular analyte. Analytical time, how much time the machine is taking to measure a particular analyte. Throughput time, suppose in between you have to give your machine some rest, or in between some washing cycle is required, although analytical time is less, but your throughput time, you are able to test less number of sample in a given time. Then reliability of your instrument in a routine use. If suppose a machine is requiring frequent maintenance, then it is not reliable. Then acceptability within the staff and technical expertise required in the staff to carry out tests on that machine. If suppose any relevant authority label is required, so you have to see all these things when you are buying a machine. Then also see when you are maintaining, because when you are performing test by colorimeter or semi-automated analyzer, many things, particularly in biochemistry, you can judge by seeing the color. But here in this automated system, everything is automated, sampling is automated, mixing is automated, and you are ultimately getting results. The instrument maintenance is very important. Follow manufacturer recommendation, what they are recommending for daily maintenance, what they are recommending for weekly maintenance. You shall have some maintenance schedule, daily maintenance, weekly maintenance, monthly maintenance, then preventive maintenance by the manufacturer, and you should have official annual maintenance contract or comprehensive maintenance contract in which part cost is also included. So now you see, first thing is decision related to purchase of equipment. Second thing is maintenance of the machine as per manufacturer recommendation. And third thing is documentation related to that machine as per international practice. because these days people are moving from one place to other. Although this is a different thing at this present situation of COVID-19, our all movements have been restricted by this coronavirus, but people are moving from one place to other. We should have some system so that we are following global guidelines. And one thing is now people have started going for accreditation in the laboratory. And another thing is whatever equipment you are using, maintain documentation related to that machine as per international guidelines. And whatever this I'm telling you, this is as per CLSI document A104, installation qualification, operational qualification, and performance qualification. When you're planning to buy one machine, before purchasing that machine, ask company people for your site assessment. See, these are the environmental conditions at this place, this much space we have. When they are approving that, then you're ordering that machine. Keep copy of purchase order. Whatever you have ordered, whatever is your deal, they will provide you these spare parts extra. They will provide you this much reagents extra. So you are keeping that copy of purchase order with you in a file. Then when you are getting machine, copy of the invoice, whatever parts they have provided to you, a list of the parts, you are checking with the help of a checklist, and also you are ensuring you have operation manual of that machine. And before installation, you are also working on it. Your SOP for the test to be performed on that machine shall be ready as per guidelines in the clause 5.5.3 of ISO 15189. Then whatever training package they are providing you, whether it is soft copy or hard copy, that hardly matters, but all these things, and whether you are keeping all the documentation, IQ, OQ, PQ as hard copy or soft copy, that is your decision. But these things shall be in place. Now, before installation, you are ensuring all these things. Now, at the time of installation, company person is coming to your lab and the person is opening box and taking out the machine. Inspect the machine. If you have ordered for a new machine, is it really new? It should not be refurbished, old, or damaged from any side. Then when they are assembling different parts, how they are assembling, look at that also. And you have already ensured site preparation and environmental requirements are okay. And if suppose deionized water plant is required, that also you have checked, that has been installed, and water quality, pH and resistivity is okay. You have already checked power, you have appropriate voltage, uniform power supply, online UPS, and earthing is okay, and wire is properly connected through this power plugs with the socket. Then you are conducting training on various aspects related to machine, related to equipment operation, how you will operate that machine, training on SOP, standard operating procedure. You have created SOPs, but you're telling your people, this is what we have written in this procedure, critical alert values, reference range, interpretation of result, different things we have written. Then inventory management, how much inventory we will maintain as per our workload, as per our system of purchase. And whenever we are starting a new lot, how we will perform lot acceptance testing. That training also shall be provided to person who will operate that machine, or a group of persons who will be operating that machine. Then company people are telling, as per their experience, what are the adverse incidents related to that machine they have observed, and how to tackle, or what are the preventive steps required to eliminate the possibility of those adverse incidents. Then performance characteristics, suppose company people, they are saying in this machine, linearity is this much, throughput is this much, precision is this much. You are establishing in your lab all these things. Whatever they say, those are called performance specifications, and whatever you get in your laboratory, those are called performance characteristics. Then how to calibrate that machine, that training also shall be there. And if suppose these people, they have to calibrate themselves, like in biochemistry machine, how to carry out that calibration. So all these things should be part of the training. Then you shall have name and contact details of support service. Till now you were dealing with the marketing people. Now who is the vendor who will provide you reagents? Who is service engineer who will provide you service in case of some defect? And who is diagnostic specialist who is well aware of the results generated in the laboratory, aware of software, so who can guide you how to interpret. Suppose machine is providing you some graphs, etc., like in your HPLC or in your flow cytometry, so how to interpret. So they are helping you in troubleshooting. Then this IQ, these are checking, you are checking at the time of installation. You are keeping record of all these things in a file, and then these are signed by some authorized person. In operational qualification, calibration schedule, you are defining, you have documented calibration procedure, you are following that procedure, and whatever maintenance schedule you have discussed with the company people, you have prepared a format for that, and whatever you are checking in the maintenance, you have a procedure how to carry out all those things. So you are following and keeping record of all these things. Then linearity, regression, analysis, precision, carryover, you have a documented procedure to carry out all these things, because all these things in itself, they are big topics, but all these things are important to be checked in all the machines where these are applicable. Then after calibration, you are running controls of, if required, all three levels: low level, normal level, high level. In routine biochemistry, low, normal level and high level. When these control results are within accepted limits, then you are checking with already tested samples. If you are getting comparable results, then you are saying, okay, I have checked everything. This machine is okay. Now we can use for untested samples. Machine is ready to be used in the laboratory for untested samples which you are receiving as a routine. So this is operational qualification. Then you are performing in IQC and EQUAS regularly. This is related to performance. You shall have documented procedure. How to carry out all these things, how to evaluate, and what is the action required. You are regularly taking care of preventive maintenance as per your documented schedule and procedure. And in case of defect, you are calling company engineer, and whatever they are doing, ask them to fill some format, and also see who are your key operators. This information shall be available close to machine, and all these persons shall be trained and authorized to use that machine. This is your performance qualification. This is also reviewed and approved by some authorized person. So that way you are keeping all records of your machine as per IQ, OQ and PQ. Our aim is, because we were listening since yesterday so many lectures by cardiologists, by pediatrician in the morning, and by gastroenterologists, they want to provide best care to the patient. And how a little extra care at our step can lead to better patient care. This we have to see. Thank you very much.